Hello, students. Let's discuss paper number 2. This video is going to serve as an introduction for paper number 2. So, looking at the assignment sheet, I want to go over this with you. Paper number 2 is an annotated bibliography. So, the requirements are a 250-word introduction. You're required to have 8 sources. 1 book, 2 newspaper/magazine articles, 3 scholarly journal articles, and 2 valid internet sources. We are using MLA formatting, and we're using that for citations and the formatting of the paper. And the annotations are to be a minimum of 150 words. So an annotated bibliography is, as it states, a list of citation for your research. But each citation also has a 150-word explanation summary of the source following the citation. When I talk about annotated bibliography in a separate video, I will go over the specifics of what goes in these annotations. But it helps you do 2 things. So it helps you keep track of your research, and it helps you learn more about your topic. So you might write one of these for your own purpose for doing a research project in the future. You also might be asked to write one for a professor. Now, I want to point out that project number 2 and 3 are linked. Your annotated bibliography will serve as an intro to project number 3. So what I'm asking you to do in project number 2 is pick a controversial topic that you want to learn about. Something that you're not invested in yet and have a firm stance on. So like if you're really already vested in, supporting coal as an alternate energy form, I don't want you to pick that, because the idea here is that with the annotated bibliography, we're working towards doing research and then making an informed argument based on that research. So I always tell students to pick something that they don't know anything about, or know little about, or have heard about, or it might be one of those topics that when it comes up in conversation, you don't feel like you know enough to make an opinion about. So that's what I want us to do, is we want to know a lot, then form our opinion, and then make the argument in paper number 3. So these topics are outlawed based on, number 1, the fact that I've seen them done way too often, and number 2, the fact that they're just really way too general. And then there are topics and there are critical situations. I want you all to pick critical situations. Topics are really one-dimensional. Students research these in very flat ways, right? I want you to approach this paper as a critical situation. So critical situations are, quote, any situations that contains or produces differences of opinion, conflicting perspectives, or disparate experiences among people for whom the situation is important. In critical situations, context is key, and contexts are both diverse beliefs and arguments that circulate around any position, and also cultural practices that give rise to beliefs and arguments. So you're not just thinking about these as pro-con. You're thinking about all the different people that could be involved in this critical situation. So you're not just thinking about political perspectives or legal perspectives. You're thinking about who has a vested interest here. So taking a really multidimensional approach. So we're going to get away from the idea that all topics have 2 sides. All topics have multiple sides. People come from a different, from a spectrum of opinions on these critical situations. So it might be ranging from like really extreme yes to really extreme no, but some people fall in the middle more so, or maybe not quite as extreme on these different sides. And they do that for different reasons. So I want your research to explore these things. Like an athlete might have a more vested interest in the way that we regulate doping in sports, and to be able to find sources that kind of illustrate these different vested interests will help you explore the multiplicity of your critical situation. So the structure of the project looks something like this. You'll have an intro that should fully explain your critical situation, identifying key issues, stakeholders, questions, sites of engagement, sites of conflict. So your intro just shouldn't be like, this is my topic and that's it. It should really talk about, like, in my research, these are some things that came up in my topic. I found that these are the different stakeholders in those issues. I found that these stakeholders are interested in this different questions. I found that stakeholders agree and disagree in these different ways. So being able to introduce this, and I said, think of this as an introduction 2.0. You'll be writing to a community of scholars, and your information offers them a view of the larger picture. So it's up to you how you frame that larger picture. Every annotation should have a citation. So all of these annotations are taken separately. So it'll go citation on top, annotation on the bottom. The annotation is a summary or evaluation. Those three things, a summary / evaluation. Those three things all need to be present in your annotation. A summary, an evaluation, and a contextualization. And we'll talk about that more in a different video. Your sources, I want you to pick sources that say different things, right? If you have 8 sources that all say the same thing, maybe you should think of a different topic. Look at partisan stances, stakeholder stances. For example, a small business owner might feel differently about the Affordable Care Act than a self-employed contractor, right? Somebody who owns their business might feel differently than somebody who works at that business. And being able to represent stakeholders, not just, well, Democrats feel this way and Republicans feel this way. Being able to represent stakeholders and why they care about this issue is helpful. So your sources should do something like that. So there's my introduction for paper number 2. You'll be putting together a short topic proposal where you kind of tell me what your topic is and why you chose it, and why it fits the critical situation. So it should be really simple. When I approve that topic, you can quickly start your research, okay?